if you'd like, just to help find that neutral neck alignment, chin slightly toward the throat, hands can come to the ribs. And let's inhale, really feel that you can inhale into the sides of the rib cage. So maybe place your hands where you can really feel the sides of the body. Get that expansion outward to the sides as you breathe in. Exhaling all the way out. So let's take a couple more breaths like that, really focusing on that side expansion right now. And now as you inhale, can you start to shift your focus into breathing into your back ribs? So as you inhale, can you feel your ribs almost push into the mat as you inhale? So we're breathing into the back. Couple more breaths like that. So even when we're breathing well with the ribs expanding, this diaphragmatic breath, that might already be pulling on some fascia around the back, around the ribs, around the pelvis. So let's keep that in mind, this kind of outward and back expansion around the rib cage as we breathe in. So we'll take the block now and place it between the knees or the thighs, either the thinnest or the medium way. Feel that triple S, really push down into the feet, give the block a little bit of a hug, bring hands to the front of the thighs, almost as if you were trying to push the thighs away from the body, but keep the ribs in, so don't let those ribs lift up. So pushing the thighs away, pushing into the big toes, curl the tailbone up like you're trying to just inch your way up, lifting as slowly one little vertebra at a time. So starting to notice this segmental movement in the spine and the low back, coming into your low bridge. So it's not very high. Pause in your low bridge and do the same thing on your way down. One vertebra at a time, really controlling this descent till the sacrum comes down. And then again, lift and curl the tailbone up. Think about peeling Velcro here. So really slow, like it's sticky, one vertebra at a time. And we'll just try that a couple more times at our own pace, getting into some of this fascia around the lower back and the pelvis. Working on the glutes to start extending through the hips, keeping the ribs from lifting up. So shoulder blades stay on the ground. Let's pause in our low bridge. Feel those two pelvic points draw in. Glutes are firm. Hands come to the ribs here. Can we inhale and feel that side to side expansion? Take a full exhale when you're ready. Hold your bridge. Now, as you inhale, can you visualize breathing into the mat, breathing into those back ribs? Exhaling completely. And this time, as we fully exhale, let's lower down slowly one last time, all the way until we get that sacrum down. And let's remove that block. And now bring the feet, you can bring them a little bit wider than hips distance apart. Arms can come out to the side with the palms up, or you could try to goalpost the arms here, as long as that doesn't arch the back and lift the shoulder blades up. Now keep pushing into the ground, almost as if you're coming into a bridge pose. So active in the glutes, rock onto the right hip. So we're rocking onto this right hip. The left glute is going to lift up, but it's active as if you were in a bridge pose and you're pushing down into that left foot, tightening that left glute, and then back to center. Rock onto that left hip. Push the ground away with that right foot as if you were coming into bridge. Keep the ribs in toward the body. And then bring it back to center. All right, coming into our core sequence, no block here. Let's do hands behind the head, elbows up toward the ceiling. Inhale into the side and back ribs. As you exhale, feel the ribs pull in toward the body as you lift off the shoulder blades. Chin is slightly towards your throat. Keep the back of the neck long. Inhale to lower down. Exhale, lift up. Feel the front ribs pull in and down toward the body. Chin is slightly toward the throat. Can you feel the belly slightly pull down? Inhale to lower. Exhale, lift up. Front ribs pull in. Back of the neck is long. Keep your sacrum down. Pick up the left foot. Externally rotate the hip. Internally rotate the hip. One more. Externally rotate. Internally rotate. Neutral. Step it down. Inhale and lower. Exhale, lift up. Feel the front ribs pull in. Keep the belly pulling down as we pick up the right foot. Externally, internally, externally, internally rotate the hip back to neutral. Step it down. Inhale and lower. Exhale, lift up. Front ribs pull in. Elbows are up toward the ceiling. Chin is slightly toward the throat. Pick up the left foot. Externally and internally rotate the hip. Now, as you externally rotate, maybe it crosses over for a quick figure four. Uncross. Inhale and lower. Exhale, lift up. Ribs pull in. Pelvic points draw in. Pick up the right foot. Externally and internally rotate 2 times. Maybe we cross over for a quick figure four, keeping the ribs in. Uncross. Inhale and lower. One more time. Exhale, lift up. Ribs pull in. Sacrum stays on the ground. Left foot lifts. Externally and internally rotate. Maybe we cross over for figure four. Maybe we pick up that right foot, pulling the right thigh in. Lower it down. Uncross. Inhale and lower. Exhale, lift. Ribs pull in. Belly draws down. Right foot lifts. Externally and internally rotate the hip. Don't let the pelvis move. Maybe we cross it for figure four. Maybe we pick up the left foot, pull that left thigh in, elbows up. Lower the foot, uncross, inhale and lower down. All right, let's come to a seated position for a moment. And really feel that triple S. So back of the neck is long in our seated position. Let's bring that right arm forward, palm facing forward, and you can stay here and pull that right hand back into our wrist extension, or you can bend the elbow and pull it in. But let's think about how we're breathing. Can we feel that side and back expansion? Switching hands, left palm forward, we'll pull back or bend the elbow and pull it in. Breathe into the ribs. Give a little shake or roll with the wrist and we'll head to quadruped. So continuing this nice kind of hydration and fascial movement. Let's start with cat-cow. I'd like to give you some options for hands. You could do just hands. You could start turning the fingers out to the side if that feels good. You could come on to fists. So whatever you want to do with the hands, let's inhale, extend the spine. So find that arch like a back bend. Exhale, round, push the ground away, tuck that tailbone under. And as you cat-cow here, just take note of how you're feeling right now. Do a quick little assessment. How does the low back feel, the mid back, the upper back, head and neck? Any areas of tension, stiffness, areas you'd like to feel a little bit more pliable or fluid? And let's find a fairly neutral position for the spine, and we'll step the left foot out to the left. So coming into an adductor rock, our left foot is out to the side, shoulders over the wrist, same option to be on fist here. And let's start some rocks here, forward and back. And we want to start really gentle. So we're just starting to open up this left inner thigh. These rocks can be teeny tiny. You could also just stay and focus on breathing into the side and back ribs. Bring it back in for quadruped and we'll switch. Right foot out to the right. Try to get that whole right foot down, so the pinky toe side as well. You can stay, you can start gently rocking. Whatever you're doing for this right inner thigh stretch, make sure we're still breathing into the ribs. So getting that full expansion down low into the ribs as you inhale, fully exhaling. Bring it back in for quadruped. We'll head into a down dog for some swivels. If you have two blocks for your hands, that's a really nice option when we swivel to just give the arms a little bit more length. You can get a little bit more of that fascial pull if the hands are elevated. So either option, we'll head to a very short down dog. So knees in, nice and tight in our quadruped. Tuck the toes, push the ground away with the hands as you feel your hip creases lift up, 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 up. So active upper body, active legs. Now big bend in your knees. My heels are super lifted. Push the ground away and feel your ribs lift in toward the body. Try to keep the ribs in that kind of knitted in position as we bend the knees even more and let the toes swivel one way. So knees turn with it too. And then let the toes swivel the other way. So the hands are staying still, the shoulders aren't swiveling, but the pelvis, the knees, and the toes are swiveling side to side. And as you get this really active closed chain stretch for the upper body, which means hands are fixed on the ground, feet are fixed on the ground, we're getting a lot of different areas pulled and stretched. We're getting some nice glide for the tissues, maybe all the way from the back of the heels, up the shoulders, the side body. So lots of places as you swivel. Okay, we're gonna head to the front of the mat. Get there however you'd like. Feel free to have those blocks nearby. And we'll get started with our sun sal 1. Keeping it nice and fluid. Soften the knees. Inhale the arms forward and up. Lift the ribs up. Now fold forward like you're bending in half without rounding. So big bend in the knees. Right foot steps back. Lower the knee, the top of the foot. We're in our 90-90 lunge. Align yourself as if you had that dowel behind you. Strong in this right glute. Let's roll the shoulders back. But really feel the shoulder lift up, pull back and down. So we get the scapula involved. The more we get the scapula involved and not just the head of the arm bone, the more tissues are getting pulled and moved and activated because you're getting the scapular muscles involved. Good, quadruped, cat-cow. Inhale, extend the spine, arch the back, tailbone up. Exhale, round the back, tuck the tailbone under. Inhale, arch the back. Now this time as you exhale, round your back, press the ground away, cat pose, tuck the toes, lift the hip creases up, down dog. Take a breath in, feel that expansion into the side and back ribs. As you exhale, lower the knees, using the core to lower softly back to quadruped. Right foot steps forward now, left knee is down. Lift up, feel that 90-90. Ears over the shoulders, over the ribs, over the pelvis. Left glute is active. Let's get the shoulders and scapula rolling back one at a time. Keep that feeling of your pelvic points tightening in toward each other. So active hip flexor stretch in that left side. Hands come forward or to blocks. We're going to step the left foot forward to meet the right. Bent knee forward fold. Push into the feet. Arms reach forward and up. Lift those shoulder blades. Soften here. Fold in half without rounding. So hip hinge. Left foot back. Lower the knee but not the toes. Lift up. 90-90 lunge here. Ribs right on top. Left glute firm. Hands behind the head. Let's do a little bit of that flexion and extension of the upper back, but try to keep the pelvis still, which means you've got to keep this feeling of zippering the pubic bone up. Inhale, chest lifts forward, open the elbows as wide as you can, but keep the ribs knitting in. Exhale, round the upper back, elbows come in like our core work. Tighten that left glute. Inhale, lift the chest, opening the elbows out without popping the ribs forward. Exhale, round. Try that a couple more times. So this is flexion and extension of the thoracic spine. We're getting a lot of things potentially in this front left or back left hip. Pulled or stretched. Good. Quadruped, cat, cow. Toes can be tucked or untucked. Inhale to extend the spine. Exhale, let's push the ground away, round the back, tuck the toes, lift up, down dog. Keep pressing the ground away. Inhale into the side and back ribs. Exhale, use the core to lower the knees softly. Quadruped, left foot steps forward, right toes tuck under. 90-90 lunge, same thing here. Ribs right over the pelvis, right glute firm, hands behind the head. Inhale, elbows open, our chest lifts slightly, but the ribs don't move forward. Exhale, elbows in, round here, shoulder blades spread away. Inhale, lift the chest, keep zippering the pubic bone up the whole time, even when we round here. So the pelvis isn't tipping forward and back. We're not arching and rounding the lower back. We're trying to isolate just the thoracic spine. Hands come forward or to blocks. Right foot steps forward to meet the left. Bend knee, forward fold. Okay, reach the arms forward and up. Sequence 1, big bend in the knees. Fold forward, hands to blocks through the ground. Right foot steps back. Lower the knee but not the toes. Same start, our 90-90. Lift up, ribs right on top, right glute firm. Arms come forward, our palms are forward, so wrists are in extension. Let's start by pushing forward, so that's protraction. Let the upper back go with it, so that same flexion here, but really push the heels of the hands forward. And then lift back into that upright or neutral spine. Protract, push forward, round the upper back with it, but keep zippering the pubic bone up. Lift up, couple more times to whatever amount feels good for you. Right glute is super active. Maybe getting a big pull here at that right hip flexor. One more time. Good, quadruped. From quadruped, toes tucked or untucked, depending on what feels best for your knees. Let's picture having a crayon or a marker on our tailbone. Can we start to draw some circles here with the tailbone? So little pelvic circles or clocks, whatever helps you visualize this. So the low back is definitely moving, but let's try to keep it low back and pelvis and see if we can kind of hold still other places so that we're getting this nice pull around the low back, the hips, the pelvis, maybe around the rib cage. Step your right leg out to the right for that adductor rock. Now take a couple rocks forward and back here, or again, if holding still just feels like a really nice big pull, stay here and breathe. But if you want to add that more dynamic movement forward and back, go ahead, but really try to push into that right foot so we can get that closed chain effect of more muscles being stretched by pressing the feet into the ground. Find a stretch that feels good and you're able to hold it for a few breaths. We're going to walk our hands as much to the right as you can without really changing the orientation of the lower body. So start to walk hands over toward the right. You can come onto fingertips. You can even take a block with you here. And think about left hip crease really moving back, 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 back toward the back of the mat. Pushing into that right side. So potentially a big, big stretch on that inner right leg, maybe left lower back, up the left side body, left armpit, left shoulder. And then walk it back to center, back to quadruped. You're welcome to have hands on blocks anytime. Let's try to get knees together, feet apart. So that's hip internal rotation when we've got the knees in, feet apart, our thigh bones are internally rotated. And in this position, can we try to cat-cow a little bit? And as you cat-cow with the hips in this position, notice if one part of cat-cow maybe feels different, a little more restricted, a little bit freer. Are you feeling any kind of different stretch or pull? Good, bring the hips and knees back to neutral. Let's lift up for a down dog. Again, option to be on 2 blocks with the hands. Big bend in the knees as we swivel side to side. So just with this one side, we've already gotten into some nice pulling for the side body. So maybe these swivels are starting to feel a little bit more open, a little bit more fluid. Lower the knees to quadruped. Our left foot is going to step forward into a modified twisted crescent. You are welcome to use the block under that right hand, shoulder over that right wrist. So just like we did in that adductor stretch, our left hip is moving back, 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 back. Turn the chest slightly. Let the neck release. Left arm can come up. And maybe we add some back strokes here, mobilizing that left shoulder joint, maybe getting a nice pull on that side body. Let's lift and turn to the right, side lunges. Hands can be anywhere you'd like. You could have hands on the ribs. You could have hands at the thighs, maybe hands at the knees to block them from pushing forward. So whatever you want to do for your side lunges, let's keep that neutral spine, neutral pelvis, as if we had that dowel. But if you want to make it a little slinkier or shimmy and make it a little bit more fluid and stretchy with the upper body, let it feel good. One more breath here. Okay, let's step it forward to the front of the mat, and we'll do that on the second side. Find neutral, knees soft, arms up, ribs stay in as you hinge forward. Left foot back, lower the knee, not the toes. 90-90, set up as if you had that dowel, left glute firm. Palms forward, start with just the shoulder blades. You push the palms forward, shoulder blades spread away. Let the upper back go with it as you reach forward. Left glute firm, lift back upright, like the crown of your head is lifting up. Protract and flex the spine. Rounding the upper back, lift it back up. So keep going with this movement, but the whole time, the pelvis is staying the same. I'm not tucking the tailbone under. I'm not tipping forward. So really feel you're holding tight here. The upper body is moving above the pelvis. Quadruped. Let's do those tailbone circles or pelvic circles. Picture that marker right attached to your tailbone and try to draw some circles. Definitely try to go both directions a couple times. One side might feel a little bit harder to just conceptualize in the brain. Might be a little bit slower to figure it out. And now we come to that left adductor rock. So left foot steps out to the left. Try to push down into that whole left foot. Add those rocks or just stay and breathe. Wherever you are with this stretch or this movement for the left inner thigh and groin, think about breathing sideways and backwards. So breathing into the side ribs and breathing into the back ribs as you inhale. Now let's find a stretch that feels like we can hold it for a little bit and maybe enhance it with that side bend. Walking the hands or the fingertips to the left as much as you can. And really think, right hip continues to move back as we reach the hands toward that left corner or toward the left side of the mat. So we're getting a pull here on this right side. We're kind of pulling on the tissue between the side of the rib cage and side of the pelvis. So elongating this space and pulling on the fascia of the side body. Let's come back, quadruped, knees in, feet apart. That's that internal rotation of the hips. Maybe hands are on blocks, and let's cat-cow a couple times here. Just notice if you start to feel any more free or fluid in any areas of the body as we continue to move. Down dog, feet in nice and tight toward the hands. Lift the hips up, lift the ribs in as we swivel side to side. So the toes and knees and pelvis all turn the same direction, but the chest and the ribs aren't turning. So the arms and the shoulders are really fixed and stable, and now we're rotating below. Right foot, actually, lower the knees to quadruped, then step your right foot through. Modified twisted crescent, left hand can come to a block, shoulder over the wrist. Now our right hip crease is moving back as we turn slightly. Keep the ribs in, let the neck release, right arm up. If it feels good, let's add that circle backwards, that back stroke. So we keep sending that right hip back, and then notice how it feels as you really reach those right fingertips forward, getting that same pull on the side body, elongating that space from the side of the rib cage to the side of the pelvis. Let's lift and turn side lunges. Lift and turn left. Side lunges of any kind. Keep that feeling of the dowel here, but if you want to shimmy the ribs side to side, if you want to add a toe lift, whatever you'd like. And let's step it forward. Okay, let's come back to quadruped. You could, of course, have hands on blocks or elevated. You could be on fists, whatever you'd like. And this time we're going to circle the whole torso. So instead of just the low back and the pelvis, let's get everything involved. The ribs are doing a little circle or shimmy. The back's kind of cat-cowing sideways. The pelvis is circling. So get everything moving. Do at least 3 to 5 in each direction. And just notice if it feels like any more coordinated in this area or any more fluid, maybe less restrictions. And we'll head on to our backs. Coming into a nice figure 4. Feel that triple S as you lie down on the ground. Back of the skull, shoulder blades sacrum. Really hold that low back the same as you pick up the right foot, cross it over figure 4. Keep the ribs in, maybe arms reach out to the side. Maybe we even goal post if that amount of pull feels good for the front of the chest and shoulders. Now you can stay exactly where you are. You can rock side to side a little bit. Small rock, we're just rocking from hip to hip. You could pick up that left foot. If that left foot is up, that opens it up to a whole bunch of other options. You could circle this left ankle. You could point and flex. You could do some sciatic glides, extending and bending any amount that feels good. Also might be a little hamstring stretch. Whatever you're doing, feel that same side and back expansion into the ribs. And let's switch sides. Feel that triple S again. Make sure the ribs aren't popping forward. Left foot crosses over. Any figure 4 here. Do something completely different than you did on the other side if you want. You could do that rocking. You could turn the head. Whatever's gonna feel nice for your body. Go ahead and hug both knees in. Take a little rock side to side or up and down. And when you're ready, come on to your back. You can keep the knees bent. You can extend the legs out. Let's feel that triple S. Hands can rest on your ribs or anywhere along your sides of your body. As you inhale, focus on that expansion into the side and back ribs. And as you exhale, maybe through the mouth, think about letting go of any tension, relaxing the jaw. Couple more breaths like that here. Relaxing your face, your neck. Feeling the weight of the back of the skull, the shoulder blades, the sacrum. Can you try to elongate that triple S, reaching through the crown of the head and the tailbone in opposite directions? Like you're pulling and getting the space longer between the ribs and the pelvis. And when you're ready, you can come back to a seated position. We'll keep the eyes closed. And as you take another breath or so here into the ribs, take a moment to thank yourself for your practice today. Sending one grateful thought out into the universe.